the benefit of Watani English-speaking readers, we should like to say that this Sunday, especially Sunday, 1st of July, we will be offering the 400th episode of the Watani editorial under the theme of problems on hold. 400 is a very large figure. When you began this series, did you ever imagine that it would go on to the 400th episode and still going? And what made it go on that long?
No, I don't think that was originally planned. It was spontaneous, and when it first started in 2006, it was only reflecting certain problems in certain situations that I felt were never addressed, were never seriously addressed, and awaiting to be addressed and solved. I never thought that this would stay so long, but maybe this is a real reflection of how Egyptians are living and how Copts are living. Our life is still full of problems and challenges to be met. And maybe when I mention Egyptians beside Copts, I would like to remark that Problems on Hold was not only concentrating upon the miseries and the inequalities and the atrocities that the Copts are subjected to and suffer from. There are many aspects of Problems on Hold related to our political, economic, social, cultural, human rights, together with Coptic issues. And maybe this explains why it did not end until now.
Yes, this is true, because I remember 2 series of episodes about traffic problems which were presented in the Problems on Hold, maybe with a space of time of 3 or 4 years in between, but again they were very relevant when they were presented. Do you feel sometimes frustrated that there is no response or there is no outcome for the problems that you present? And are there specific problems which you feel were able to attain certain results that were very gratifying?
No, I never feel frustrated because I don't measure the result of what I write with a serious, objective solution to the problem. Of course, Egypt now is emerging from a sick regime, and maybe we look forward for a better future where problems will be seriously addressed, where political will help in solving problems. But back then, in many problems, I sensed the lack of political will to solve. So I never expected this to be the measure of success. On the contrary, I believed that the measure of success is the ability to raise public awareness concerning all these 6 situations and problems. And I suppose that I succeeded to a considerable extent in that regard. One of the few situations which were addressed in Problems on Hold, and I feel quite comfortable that it met positive solutions is the suffering of many Copts and Coptic families with their new IDs when they presented their applications for the new computerized IDs, and they were horrified when they received the new computerized documents stating that their fathers and mothers, and accordingly themselves, were registered officially in the civil register as Muslims rather than Christians. Of course, that was due to lack of administrative skills rather than fanatics. But still they were horrified, and they rejected this, and they met problems with the civil register throughout the country. When I received their complaints documented, and I kept publishing these problems, I was contacted by an official from the civil register who expressed serious will to solve these problems if we present them to the civil register office. I did so, and in fact this did not stop. It started maybe a couple of years ago, but it didn't stop, and maybe the last of which was this week. And they proved to be serious about solving the problems. The feedback that came to me from the victims of such a situation was extremely relieved and grateful, and they said that they were received in a very amicable way, and they were treated very respectfully, and their papers were corrected, and they received their IDs stating that they are Christians coming from Christian families. So this is one example out of few which were solved under problems of old, and I look forward that Egypt, coming out of its transition phase after the revolution, may present more examples in that regard.
Which brings on another question. Now that there is an Islamist president, and well, there's a lot of political Islam on the scene. So what do you expect for the coming period? As far as Copts are concerned, something like the unified law for places of worship, something, do you expect, what future do you expect for these things?
In fact, I admit that there are serious concerns and even worries on part of many Copts that the rise of Dr. Morsi to the presidency may be a start of a wave of Islamizing Egypt. I really don't see it this way, and I keep assuring colleagues and friends and relatives and people whom I don't know but I do meet that this is not definitely the case. I voted for a civil state. I voted in the first round of the presidential elections for a candidate which sponsored the civil agenda, and in the second round I voted for Mr. Shafiq as the candidate with a civil agenda. Yet, with Morsi rising to the presidency, I'm not afraid and I'm not worried at all, because I had my eyes open and I record clearly all the commitments that Dr. Morsi has committed himself to during his electoral campaign. Of course, many Copts will say, how do you believe this? I know very well that Dr. Morsi comes from an ideological background directly related to the Islamic Brotherhood group. I know very well that Dr. Morsi was leading the Freedom and Justice Party, which is the political arm of the Islamic Brotherhood group. I know all this, but I also know that Dr. Morsi has committed himself to disengage himself from the Islamic Brotherhood group once he becomes president. He has also committed himself to resign from the leadership of the Freedom and Justice Party. He has committed himself openly to be a president for all Egyptians, to act in the interest of all Egyptians, to safeguard the rights of all Egyptians. He even committed himself to appointing deputies and consultants and vice presidents among youth, among women, among Copts, and he never said that only the members and the followers of the Freedom and Justice Party would govern his administration. I do believe him. I feel that we owe him a fair chance to prove that he is committed to his commitments and to fulfill them, and then we can put him under the test to see how far can he put these commitments to exact execution. Concerning rights, Coptic rights, concerning the long-awaited unified law for places of worship, concerning the long-awaited anti-discrimination law, concerning all these legislations which were long-awaited to achieve real equality under citizenship rights, I believe that whereas for the last 30 years we have been looking forward, pleading our president to put them into effect with no avail, I believe that it is the time that we direct our real work towards the Constitution, which is going to be written, and then what legislation would be cooked according to this Constitution. We have to work hard in that regard. We Copts are not alone, because we are standing with our fellow Muslim citizens, and if we achieve this on the level of the Constitution and on the level of legislation, I am sure that the President would approve of all this.
Are you thinking of issuing the series of problems on hold in a book?
Yes, why not? But I would like to say that this is less spending than what I suppose that our readers would really welcome. To finish first the very long series of articles, religious articles, that have been written exclusively for Watani since 1966 by His Grace Pope Shenouda. We are working upon this. This is a huge amount of writings which Pope Shenouda had written and Watani has published, and these are now under selective analysis in order to publish small booklets for each kind of religious writings to be combined with each other in one booklet. And I believe that this will be of real help, real spiritual help to our readers. When we're through this, or maybe parallel to that, likewise, I think that if we consider publishing Problems on Hold, they should be selected and divided under the aspects that I mentioned in order to reach the hands of our readers.
Very well. I think everyone will be looking forward to that. Thank you very much.